Online game, I possess a monster merging simulator. Chapter 191, Purchasing Resources. After making an agreement with Tully, Lorne opened the Gnome shop page and continued choosing materials. A portion of the buildings in the cold desolate Dragon City had fused with the mountain. If he wanted to restore the city, he had to dig up the mountain range. Therefore, Lorne chose 5 high-level mining robots. Mining robots had very powerful excavation abilities and could be excavators in the mountain range. There were also a few other robots with other functions. Because it had been lost for more than 10,000 years, the cold desolate Dragon City was overgrown with plants like weeds, moss, and other things. These robots could help clean up the place. It was originally cheaper to use manual cleaning, but the cold desolate Dragon City could not be discovered by the outside world for the time being. Therefore, it was necessary to purchase these robots. At the very least, they would not leak the information. After buying the robots, he also had to buy the accompanying magic crystal. This was the core of the robot's energy source. The usage of the robot depended on the energy it was provided. This thing was not cheap either. One cost 100 gold coins. It could support a robot to work for 100 hours. Lorne ordered 100. Then, he opened the blueprint for the construction of the cold desolate Dragon City and searched for the blueprint for the teleportation magic circle. If he wanted the main city to be useful, he had to have a teleportation array, especially in the cold desolate Dragon City. This city was near the Lake of Death and was more than 4 days away from Iron Skull City. Without the teleportation circle, no player would be willing to go there. Without players, he would not be able to earn money. This was not the result that Lorne wanted. However, Lorne encountered a huge problem. The materials to build this ancient magic circle were very rare, and they were all extremely precious materials. It was impossible to find those ancient materials in the shop of the Gnome branch. Fortunately, there were alternatives. Although using substitutes would affect the strength of the teleportation circle, in this situation, he could not care less. First, he had to build a magic circle that could teleport back and forth. Otherwise, the repair work in the city would not even be known. 100 space gems. 300 energy crystals. 1,0005 colored ores. 3 advanced space magic circles. 1 location setting magic circle. Lorne gathered all the materials he needed and bought a few more sets, just in case. In addition, he needed to buy other items, such as clay, rocks, and other materials for repair. Finally, Lorne stopped at the weapon option. Gnomes were good at mechanical construction. Almost 50% of the magic cannons were created by them, so they had a very mature industrial system and product style. However, these things were really expensive. In fact, in Divine Realm, any tool related to machinery was very expensive, and those related to magic tools were even more expensive. As for magic cannons, they were a combination of machinery and magic. The price was terrifying. Moreover, all high-grade magic cannons needed to be specially customized and provided high-grade ores to create. Therefore, on this page, there was no available magic cannon that interested Lorne. He had to place an order before they would start making them. After some thought, Lorne gave up. In fact, heavy defense weapons like magic cannons were what the current cold desolate Dragon City needed the most. In the past, because the soldiers in the city were all powerful dragons, cold desolate Dragon City was almost not equipped with any defensive weapons. But if Lorne turned it into his territory, the city defense weapons would be necessary. Unfortunately, the range of the cold desolate Dragon City was too large. If he wanted to set it up now, the amount of money spent would be an astronomical figure that was definitely not something that Lorne could afford. Therefore, Lorne could only give up on this matter for the time being. He would consider all matters regarding the city defense after he completely turned cold desolate Dragon City into his own territory. In any case, cold desolate Dragon City was still within the range of Iron Skull City. Moreover, with the help of the one-eyed giant snake, the dark faction should not be able to start a large-scale war. Therefore, he still had time to develop. Warrior, the total price of these materials that you have chosen is 1 dragon crystal and 600,000 reputation points. Since you are a top customer, we will give you a 20% discount for the high-grade materials, which comes up to 1 dragon crystal and 480,000 reputation points. Tully said. Indeed, Lorne still had to spend money to buy supplies. After all, Tully was still the manager of the Gnome Mineral Company, and he had to be responsible for his own work. He had not expected that with just a few words, the other party would give him so many resources. However, when he heard the price in the picture, Lorne was stunned. The currency for this purchase was not gold coins, but gnome reputation. Damn! What was going on? Lorne was stunned. When he recovered, he checked carefully and realized that he had forgotten to check the price units of these goods. In the gnome shop, medium and lower goods were calculated with gold coins. However, in the high-level shops, the calculation units for all the goods were gnome reputation points. Lorne frowned. He could not help but look at his gnome reputation and realized that it was only 3,150 points. This pitiful reputation points were given by the system because of his conversation with Tully. Therefore, this was a little awkward. How could he pay without the gnome reputation? Did he have to pay on credit? Lorne did not feel that he was so shameless that the other party would directly give him a huge amount of resources worth 600,000 reputation points. As for not wanting these materials, that would not do. After all, he had previously said that he wanted all the gnomes to join his main city, but now, he could not even afford these resources. Wouldn't that be a loss of reputation as the city lord? How could he raise his dignity in front of the other party in the future? While Lorne was thinking, Tully took the initiative to say, "Adventurer, you should not have much gnome reputation, but it's okay. You can use other rare materials to exchange for them. For example, a dragon crystal is enough to deduct all these resources." Dragon crystal? No, I don't have many. In fact, Lorne did have a dragon crystal on him, but he did not want to use it to buy these materials. If he wanted to get items not for sale in the future, he would have to rely on it. Of course, but the rarer the material, the more reputation points will be deducted. That's not a problem. My materials are the rarest. Lorne was immediately excited, for there were indeed a lot of special materials in his bag. Chapter 192, Gnome Airship. How many reputation points is this worth? Lorne took out a red fire crystal from his bag. This was dropped when they killed the fire elemental giant. The fire elemental giant was a high-level special monster. The items dropped from its body should not be bad. When he saw this thing, Tully's eyes lit up, and he said happily, "This is a fire crystal. It will only condense in the purest place of the fire elements, and this crystal contains the aura of a dragon. It's top-grade material. I really didn't expect you to have such a precious thing. However, the fire elemental crystal is more suitable for forging. If we give it to the dwarfs, they should offer a higher price, but here, we can count it as 300 reputation points from 1. The offer was actually 300 points. It seemed that this was indeed a good thing. Lorne had more than 100 such crystals on him, but considering the difficulty of obtaining them, he did not take them out. Look at this again. Lorne took out the pearl from his bag. This was a material he had obtained from the one-eyed giant snake, Mora. These pearls should be very valuable. When he saw this pearl, Tully's eyes lit up again. "I didn't expect you to have such a rare luxury item, adventurer. These pearls with special patterns can only be produced at the bottom of the Lake of Death. To the nobles on land, this is a very precious treasure. Therefore, such a pearl can be used in place of the reputation of the gnomes by 500 points. It was even higher than the value of the fire crystal." Lorne was surprised. In his bag, there were a total of 6,000 pearls at the bottom of the lake, which could be used in place of 3 million gnome reputation points. From the looks of it, he had too much foresight in exploiting the giant snake. In that case, I want to buy another 100 intermediate gnome robots and 1,000 magic crystals. I want to add another batch of these resources. Previously, Lorne had thought that he did not have enough funds, so he had abandoned a lot of things. But who would have thought that these pearls at the bottom of the lake were so valuable? There was no need to hesitate now. He directly bought a large amount of resources to first clean up the ruins of the cold desolate dragon city. After some calculations, the materials that Lorne had chosen required a total of 3.5 million reputation points. After a 20% discount, they only required 2.8 million reputation points. Without hesitation, Lorne paid 5,600 pearls. My dear adventurer, it has been a pleasure working with you. There was a smile on Tully's face. In just half an hour, he had sold such a large amount of resources. The performance bonus of the Gnome Mineral branch in Iron Skull City would also increase greatly. Soon, the two of them arrived at the warehouse. Where do we need to send these supplies? Asked Tully. This time, Lorne bought a lot of supplies, especially the robots. There were more than 100 of them. These equipment were very heavy, and he had to use large transport machines to deliver them safely. No need. I'll take it away now. Lorne walked up and placed his hand on the supplies. In the next second, the heavy machinery disappeared. Tully was stunned. Adventurer, was what you just used the dragon race's dragon's treasure vault? Yes. I see. Tully smiled. It seems that the Dragon of Light values you far more than I imagined. At this moment, a gnome in charge of the design ran over and whispered something in Tully's ear. The latter immediately smiled. Adventurer, our engineering department has already designed the mining route. Tully took the blueprint from the gnome engineer. There were several planned routes drawn on it. He said, Adventurer, we plan to start mining immediately. After a while, when the engineers have gathered, we will use the airship to send the engineers and equipment to the estimated coordinates. Then, we will begin to work along the border between the Doomsday Forest and the Lake of Death. We will first use all our manpower to mine the ordinary areas and begin a detailed survey of the underground environment of the high-level mines. After we have all investigated, we will assign high-level miners and robots to mine. Due to the complicated environment, we plan to mine the ore underground this time. Although the difficulty is higher, such a plan is easier and safer than dealing with the powerful monsters outside. As for transportation, that's a huge problem. Our plan is to place all the minerals on this highland mountain range and then transport them to the company. These are our initial plans for the time being. What do you think? Tully explained everything. As a company dedicated to mining, their experience was unquestionable. However, Lorne cared more about the word airship. How long until your airship reaches the Doomsday Forest? It will take about a day or two to set off from here, because we need to transport a lot of equipment. We can't go at full speed. Tully's explanation surprised Lorne. It had to be known that this place was very far from the Doomsday Forest. If ordinary players wanted to run the map, it would take at least a week, or even longer. Their airships could arrive in a day or two despite transporting a large amount of equipment. In this world of swords and magic, it was indeed astonishing. An airship is a device that has a higher level of confidentiality than a mining robot, but if our cooperation reaches a certain level, the Gnome Mineral Company can sell you one. Clearly seeing through Lorne's thoughts, Tully reminded him of this information. Originally, the airship was a high-level equipment in the Gnome Company and could not be sold to any force. However, this adventurer was different. In his hands, he had the original map of the Dragon Kingdom. If he was willing to use it as a bargaining chip, he believed that the Gnome Company could sell him any equipment. Hearing this, Lorne was indeed tempted. However, the time needed to buy this thing was still too far away. At the very least, there would definitely not be such a need during this period of time. The two of them conversed casually for a while. At this moment, Lorne suddenly said, "Mr. Tully, I have a request that I hope you can agree to." Chapter 193, Kickback. What is it? I want to buy another batch of rare high-grade ores. No problem. Please follow me. Tully generously led Lorne to the nearby warehouse and said, "I wonder which ore you need." Star-patterned iron, Lorne said. Star-patterned iron is the main material for casting magic cannons. Most of the star-patterned iron is only mixed in other types of mineral veins. It is very difficult to mine. Tully opened the panel of the warehouse, pulled out a sample of the star-patterned iron, and sent it to Lorne. On Lorne's mission panel, there was a notification of a mission item. He immediately asked happily, "How much does a unit of star-patterned iron cost?" "Please allow me to ask, are you buying it for yourself?" As expected of an experienced businessman, he immediately saw the problem. "No." Lorne shook his head, "The situation is like this. Recently, Iron Skull City has detected that there are minions of the Dark Faction wandering in the ruins of the war. They want to resurrect the dragon corpses inside, which is a huge threat to all lives in the Iron Skull City. Therefore, Iron Skull City has decided to send the army to clean up the ruins of the war. However, because of the sudden incident, it is difficult to supply their equipment. Therefore, I would like to ask you to sell a portion of the rare ores and let Iron Skull City urgently forge equipment to support the army's crusade." "I see. All right, we normally don't sell these ores, but since it's a request from you, we are also willing to contribute to the peace and stability of the continent. Regarding the price of the star-patterned iron, for the sake of our partner, we will only charge 4.5 gold coins per piece. However, we have a request. This batch of ores must be bought by you in your own name." Tully looked earnestly at Lorne, who brightened and silently gave him a thumbs up. No problem. It had to be said that Tully was really cunning. Not only did he directly guess Lorne's purpose in buying the ores, but he also guessed the highest price Iron Skull City gave him. Finally, and most importantly, he made a request that Lorne had to buy it in his own name. Perhaps many people did not understand the meaning of this action, but as long as they were businessmen, they could tell at a glance. Tully's request to trade in the name of Lorne meant that the ores had to go through Lorne. Then, there was a possibility that he could operate as a middleman of the two partners. For example, the highest price that Iron Skull City offered was 5 gold coins to buy a unit of ore. Lorne could directly quote them the highest price even though the gnomes sold them at 4.5 gold coins. Lorne could obtain 0.5 gold coins per unit of profit in this transaction. One had to know that the ore requirement for Iron Skull City this time was a total of 100,000 units. If he calculated it all, Lorne could obtain 50,000 gold coins from the deal. Was there anything more comfortable than free money in this world? Then, the two discussed the details of the cooperation in detail. In the end, Lorne obtained the order for 100,000 star-patterned iron ores and wrote a reply to Iron Skull City. The general opinion was that they only trusted Lorne and needed him to trade. With this letter, it basically confirmed Lorne's benefits. Moreover, Tully generously let Lorne take the ores away first, because with the ores around, he was not worried that there would be a problem with the trading of these ores. "Adventurer, our mining team and airship are ready. Are you coming with us to the ruins of the war, or are you returning to Iron Skull City?" "Let's go to the ruins of the war. It's a good opportunity for me to see your airship." "I would love to. Please follow me." Following Tully through the city, Lorne finally arrived at a huge square. In front of him were countless gnome miners and a huge oval object. This was the gnome's airship. It was very huge. Its entire length was more than 1,000 meters, and its total height was nearly 100 meters. Such a size was about the size of an aircraft carrier. It was a true behemoth. From afar, one could see a huge oval airbag above the airship. It was very similar to the airship in modern history. The only difference between the two was the main engine. In reality, airships flew by helium, and the airships built by the gnomes relied on a huge magic circle to release special gases. There was a magic unit at the tail that provided the lift. It was designed to provide the airship with the impetus to move forward. Under the airship was a huge cabin. It was constructed from high-grade wood and had a lighter weight, increased hardness, and greater tenacity. After everyone stepped into the airship, Tully held a condensed energy crystal and placed it on the center platform of the command platform. In the next moment, all the magic circles on the airship lit up. Then, the airship slowly rose until it was 2,000 meters high. Only then did it begin to move forward. Warrior, this is the crystallization of our Gnome technology. This is a mole-class airship, a medium-sized one. It can carry tens of thousands of people and a large amount of equipment at once. Tully proudly introduced this to Lorne. Knowledge is power. Even if Lorne was a modern person, he was still amazed. After all, this was a world of swords and magic. It was incredible that the gnomes could develop such technology. However, ever since he saw the strength of the Abyss rulers, Lorne had some thoughts that looked down on machinery. Of course, he did not deny the power of technology. After all, not everyone could have the strength of the Abyss ruler. Such a large machine that could determine the outcome of a war was worthy of recognition. It was just that his dream was very far away. What he wanted to become was a god who surpassed the Abyss rulers, an invincible existence who could surpass the world. When the airship crossed countless areas and arrived at the Doomsday Forest, a group of players who were completing a mission there were all stunned. Gosh! Airplane! Bullsh *T plane! That's clearly an airship. That's not right. Isn't this a world of swords and magic? Why are there even airships? Did I enter the wrong game? It should be the work of the gnomes. In the background introduction given by the officials of the Divine Realm, it said that the gnomes will create machinery. That's true, but I can't accept suddenly taking out an airship. There's probably a hidden mission. Brothers, anyone wants to follow me on this journey? Brother, bring me along. Chapter 194, Beginning to Repair the Cold Desolate Dragon City. Huff! Huff! Standing at the bow of the airship, the fierce wind whistled in Lorne's ears. Air currents passed through everywhere. Here, one could see the forest below. However, the forest in this region was too dense, so it was difficult to see the specific appearance of the mountain. When they neared the ruins of the war, the scene in Lorne's eyes immediately changed. The green mountains and rivers, the white clouds and light, all vanished at this moment. In their place was a dark sky. The ruins of the war were like a huge factory. From the mountains, black fog was emitted. They gathered above the ruins of the war and blocked the sunlight. As for the ground below, it was also pitch black and looked lifeless. Adventurer, this area is very dangerous. There are terrifying flying creatures lurking nearby. Our airship can't directly enter. It can only descend from the side and arrange for the storage base to be nearby. In the future, when the mining is completed, we can get the transport workers to pull the ores back here. We can use the airship to transport them every 2 days. Tully was very wary of the ruins of the war. In order to avoid fighting the monsters head-on, he controlled the airship to fly along the edge of the Doomsday Forest and finally chose a place close enough to the destination as the coordinates of the base. Lorne also checked the map and found that this location was indeed good. It could effectively avoid conflict with the monsters, and it was the closest place to the mine. Soon, the airship temporarily landed. The mine workers quickly disembarked, and the construction team began to build temporary storage bases around them. Lorne bid farewell to Tully and ran in the direction of Cold Desolate Dragon City. Soon, Lorne appeared in the Cold Desolate Dragon City. This place was still in the same dilapidated state. It was barren everywhere. Fortunately, the construction materials were very good, and there was no problem with the rough building main body. The only thing that was difficult to deal with were the parts that collapsed and the parts that were wrapped in the mountain range. The collapsed area of the cold desolate dragon city was very large, especially the city wall. To repair this huge city wall, it required countless funds and workers. Lorne was prepared to leave the work to players, but he had to wait until he completely occupied the city. Therefore, what he needed to deal with now was the construction of the city. The damaged building needed a high-level architect to repair. This mission could also be put aside. Now, it was best to first clean up the ruins in the entire Dragon City. With that in mind, Lorne took out the gnome robots from his bag. The functions of these intermediate robots were all the same. Some were good at mining, some were good at cleaning, and some were good at transporting. They were all specially bought by Lorne to clean up the cold desolate Dragon City. Then, he installed a magic crystal in each robot and activated all of them. The 10 of you will clean up the ruins of the building. The 10 of you will clean up the moss on the ground and the buildings. The 20 of you are responsible for moving the collapsed rocks. Put all the large rocks in the nearby empty space. The small rocks will be gathered in the nearby square. Attention! Do not destroy any of the herbs and plants. Lorne quickly gave the orders to the robots. In order to prevent the herbs in the city from being destroyed, he injected the robot with the knowledge to identify some of the herbs in the dragon's pharmacopoeia. After dealing with this, Lorne looked at the remaining gnome robots. Unlike the previous robots, these robots were all technicians. U-20 mining robots are responsible for carving out the mountains that cover the city and restoring the building to its original appearance. U-30 construction robots are responsible for repairing the buildings in the city. You will first take priority from the refining and forging workshops. The remaining 10 robots in charge of constructing magic circles are responsible for repairing the magic circles in the city. The teleportation circle is top priority. Inside the robots created by the gnomes, there was a command magic circle that could input relevant information and allow them to complete certain actions. For example, the repair of the magic circle in the cold desolate Dragon City only required the corresponding building blueprint. Construction name, Teleportation Array, Cold Desolate Dragon City. Architecture quality, Legendary. Level, 1. Effect, radiates a radius of 4,000 km with the magic circle as the center. It can connect with all the magic circles in the area and interact with them. Requires the authorization of the other party's teleportation magic circle. Consumption, 10 to 100 energy/use. Transportation range affects the amount used. Special effect, due to a special design, energy consumption is reduced by 50%. Introduction, a teleportation circle built with the magic technology of the dragon race. It has advanced spatial technology, causing the teleportation range to be farther and more stable. Moreover, the cost of teleportation is lower. Requirement for repair, Space Gem X1000, Energy Crystal X300, Rainbow Ore X1000, Advanced Space Magic Formation X3, Advanced Location Magic Formation X1. Repair time, 5,000 units. This was the information regarding the teleportation array of the cold desolate Dragon City. It could be seen that the operation of the teleportation array also required energy. However, the teleportation circle in the Dragon City had the effect of having the cost of teleportation, which meant that Lorne could obtain greater benefits from it. In addition, the final repair time referred to an average magic circle repair worker. They would need 5,000 hours to complete the work. Moreover, this worker had to have legendary construction technology. This was a harsh requirement. Unless Lorne worked with Iron Skull City, it was impossible to find so many workers with legendary construction technology. Fortunately, the gnome's robot had such strength. Because of his cooperation with the gnomes, Lorne did not buy a high-grade mining robot for the time being. Instead, he replaced it with a high-grade rune robot. These robots had legendary magic circle construction technology. Although they were at the lowest threshold of legendary, they had really met the requirement. As long as they had a good legendary construction blueprint, they could complete the work very well. Lorne could directly find the relevant information on the blueprint from Cold Desolate Dragon City construction blueprint and input them into the robot's content to let them work according to the blueprint. As for their efficiency, the efficiency of these robots was 10 units per hour, which meant that they only needed 50 hours to complete the mission. All in all, it would only take 2 days to complete everything. After all, these robots did not need to sleep. Chapter 195, Equipment Merging. In addition, Lorne gave the robot some special construction missions. That was the resurrection array that did not exist in the Cold Desolate Dragon City. The resurrection array was a magic circle that only adventurers could use. As a huge dragon city, how could there be such a building in the Cold Desolate Dragon City? However, it did not matter. This mythical blueprint designed by the first Dragon of Light gave Lorne a powerful construction ability. As long as he wanted it, he could immediately create the relevant blueprint. He opened the system interface that came with the blueprint, and in the building column, he chose the resurrection array and finally chose to create it. Ding! Blueprint is being created. Please wait. 1%. 2%. 3%. Ding! Congratulations, your resurrection array blueprint has been created. Soon, the blueprint was completed. Construction name, Resurrection Array, Cold Desolate Dragon City. Architecture quality, Legendary. Level, 1. Construction effect, radiates a radius of 1000 km with the magic circle as the center. All adventurers linked to the magic circle can be revived in this magic circle. Consumption, 100 energy/use. Maximum users, 1000. Special effect, due to a special design, energy consumption is reduced by 50%. Introduction, a resurrection array built with the magic technology of the dragon race. It has a smaller energy consumption and a larger radiation range. Requirement, Revival Magic Formation X1, Energy Crystal X100, Matrix Runes X3. Construction time, 20,000 units. Building a magic circle was much harder than repairing a magic circle. However, this magic circle could resurrect 1,000 people at once. This number was quite large. He believed that as long as there was a resurrection array, it could basically ensure the needs of the main city's players. If the number of players increased in the future, he could add a few more magic circles. As for the materials, fortunately, he bought more from the gnomes. These resources could support the resource consumption for the next week. Then, Lorne went to the warehouse and placed the building materials in his bag. They looked like a lot, but they were nothing in the huge warehouse of the Dragon City. Looking at the spacious warehouse area, Lorne realized the pressure he was under. If he wanted to repair the entire Cold Desolate Dragon City, he would definitely need countless resources. The total amount of funds would exceed his imagination. Fortunately, with the dragon's treasure-seeking skill, he could rely on the surrounding mineral veins to survive. Phew! Lorne took a deep breath and crushed the return scroll in his hand. Swish! With a flash of light, Lorne returned to Iron Skull City and found the frowning Bars in the Blacksmith Guild. Mr. Tyrant, why are you back? At first, Bars was happy to see Lorne, but soon his expression sank. He did want to see Lorne, but not now, because he had left Iron Skull City too soon. How could he bring back what he wanted in such a short time? Thinking of this, Bars felt as sad as if he had lost 100 gold coins. At that moment, Lorne took out a letter. A letter from the Gnome Mineral Company. Bars frowned. Under normal circumstances, the result of bringing back the letter was that the gnome needed to add other conditions, and it was likely to be a rejection letter. In short, bringing back the letter was not a good result. It's not your fault. Gnomes are indeed hard to communicate with. Before he could finish, his eyes nearly popped out, Heavens! They actually agreed. Quick, follow me. Bars quickly pulled Lorne to the finance department. Quick, prepare 500,000 gold coins for me. I want it now. The NPC in charge of the finances was stunned. Then, he quickly wrote a check for the gold coins. With the check, Bars immediately extracted 500,000 gold coins from the vault and handed them all to Lorne. Mr. Tyrant, please make another trip. We want 100,000 units of ore. Please send the gnomes to Iron Skull City in an airship. In fact, the ores were all on Lorne already. However, in order to act like it was convincing, he had to make another trip. Lorne walked into the teleportation circle and immediately crushed the return scroll in the wilderness. After returning to Iron Skull City, he found a concert hall and enjoyed the dance for half an hour. In the end, he returned to the Blacksmith Guild. Adventurer, it's been hard on you. Is the ore here yet? Bars asked excitedly. I've succeeded. With a wave of his hand, 100,000 units of star-patterned iron ores filled the entire hall. It's really the star-patterned iron ore. Great, this is great. With these ores, our forging can begin immediately. Mr. Tyrant, your help is too timely. In order to thank you for your help, I'm willing to help you merge your set into a stronger equipment for free. Bars said seriously. Lorne's eyes lit up. In the game, fusing equipment was not a difficult term to understand. However, in Divine Realm, there had never been a choice to fuse equipment. However, he did not expect it to be accidentally triggered at this moment. Although there are many parts in the set, these parts have the same origin attributes. As long as we smelt them together and supplement them with the appropriate forging method, we can obtain a new equipment. The new equipment will inherit most of the attributes of the original equipment, and there might be a special mutation. The mutations are usually positive. Once such a situation occurs, you will definitely obtain an even stronger equipment. Of course, there is a certain success rate for fusing equipment, and the higher the level, the lower the success rate. However, to the current Mr. Tyrant, the level of your Sage set is very low. If you fuse it, the success rate is at least 90%. Bars explained. Alright, it's about time I changed into better equipment. Without hesitation, Lorne agreed. This level 10 silver set should have long since retired. He had been wearing this equipment until now only because his combat strength came from his pets, so he did not have too many requirements for his attributes. However, now that Lorne could almost reach level 40, there was naturally no reason for him to continue wearing the beginner set. Chapter 196, The Descent of the City Creation Token. Lorne directly took off all his equipment. In fact, there was still a platinum set treasure chest in his bag, but because he was about to reach level 40, he had not opened it. As for the equipment on him, he was naturally too lazy to change them. It just so happened that there was a chance to merge the equipment now. He had to see the situation first. Perhaps the quality would be better. After handing all 7 equipment to Bars, Lorne casually found a pile of silver and gold equipment to wear. Unexpectedly, his attributes increased by 30%. This was ridiculous. Don't worry, Mr. Tyrant. I will fuse the best equipment for you. Bars gave Lorne a wretched smile. To be honest, if not for you helping me so much, I will definitely not help you fuse the equipment at this time. This is a violation of the Iron Skull City contract. If Iron Skull City finds out, my salary for this month will be gone. By the way, what kind of equipment do you want? This set of equipment can only be refined into one piece of equipment. Do you want a magic staff or a magic robe? Just as he was about to enter the forging room, he suddenly turned around and asked. A ring. Lorne had 2 rings on him, but their quality was relatively low. They were no longer suitable for the current intensity of battles. Moreover, the ring was not within the range of the usual 7 slots. In the future, it would not conflict with the equipment part of the platinum set. No problem. Please wait a moment. Bars nodded, then put the equipment into the forge. Lorne could not watch the forging process, so he could only sit in the hall and wait for the good news. 10 minutes later. Half an hour later. An hour later. The time it took to fuse the equipment was clearly much longer than he had imagined, but it was not good for him to leave during this period of time, so he could only open the forum and check the situation inside. Shocking! A giant airship appears near the Doomsday Forest. A large army of gnomes has arrived in the ruins of the war. There is technology in this world. Engineers, quickly find the gnomes. Your wisdom will bring you opportunities. Explosive earnings. Tyrant's shop's daily income is close to 50 million alliance dollars. The virtual industry will be as lively as the sales of Dragon 1. A terrifying headless horseman was discovered at the border of Iron Skull City. Due to the high-profile appearance of the airship, the topic of gnomes was very popular on the forum. Many people began to go in groups to the warehouse base that the gnomes had built. They believed that there was a special hidden mission there. Many people also valued the technology of the gnomes, because everyone lived in the technology world in reality. There were many advanced ideas in their minds, especially the players working in the technology industry. They felt that their technology could be glorified in this world. Therefore, there was a trend of technological recovery. With regards to this, Lorne maintained a wait-and-see attitude. He did not know the game system's attitude towards the technology element. If technology was really the future, these players might really be able to bring the world to the industrial age. As for the post after that, Lorne opened the topic of the Headless Horseman. It really is him. This so-called Headless Horseman was the one that Lorne had encountered at the Lake of Death. This guy was an abyss ruler. It had been running around the border of Iron Skull City, so it was most likely plotting something. At the mention of this guy, Lorne could not help but think of Domina, the Naga Queen. There had been no reaction from the mission she had asked Lorne to do. Should he check? The mission that Domina gave him was to find the coordinates of the Naga race. It was not a difficult mission. Forget it. Lorne quickly shook his head. It was best not to worry about this mission. A mission issued by the Abyssal Demons was definitely not a good thing. There might be another scheme behind it. As a weak adventurer, it was best to stay away from it. As he thought this, suddenly, a grand voice sounded in the sky. Ding! Iron Skull City announcement. Iron Skull City has officially issued a crusade mission to all adventurers: eliminate the rebels. Mission description: in the western region of Iron Skull City, a large group of minions of the Dark Abyss have appeared. The orcs living in the region have been corroded by the darkness, and a large number of orcs have completely submitted to the darkness. Adventurers, please gather now and immediately set off to the designated war zone to kill them to stop the disaster brought by the Dark Abyss. You will obtain a large number of contribution points as a result. Ding! Ding! The announcement sounded 3 times. All the players who belonged to Iron Skull City could accept this mission on their system interface. Then, the players in the main city became excited. This was clearly another large-scale crusade. Moreover, killing monsters gave points, which meant that there was a points exchange shop. As long as the players killed enough monsters in the event, they could exchange for any reward they wanted in the shop. Is this the special mission that the Dragon of Light mentioned? When Lorne had looked for the Dragon of Light to submit the mission, the other party had said that a special mission would appear recently, and the final reward of this mission was the city creation token that Lorne needed the most. Therefore, Lorne had been waiting for the so-called mission to appear. Now that there was finally movement, he quickly opened the activity panel in excitement. Mission: eliminate the rebels. Type: time-limited event. Duration: 168 hours. Difficulty: recommended level, 30. Event requirement: kill all monsters who submit to the dark. Any demonized creature. Reward, points. This area will only drop points. Points usage can be exchanged for EXP, reputation, equipment, tools, gems, treasure chests, guild establishment token, city creation token, only one, etc. Introduction. There's really a city creation token. Lorne's eyes lit up. Although it was only a level 30 event, the reward was beyond everyone's expectations. In this event, there were almost all kinds of rewards, among which the players paid the most attention to the Guild Establishment Token and City Creation Token. The Guild Establishment Token is the proof to establish an organization in the game. With this token, your guild will be approved by Iron Skull City and receive the corresponding guild benefits. This was a reward that all the guilds wanted. City Creation Token was the ultimate reward for everyone. Because there was only one City Creation Token, obtaining this token meant that one would have the first player territory in the world and enjoy the first wave of dividends brought about by the territory. It could be seen that ever since the information about this event appeared, almost all the players were in an uproar, especially a few large guilds. They even dared to declare that they would obtain the City Creation Token and become the first overlord in the world. It had to be said that they had many thoughts. Unfortunately, they had forgotten who their opponent was. They wanted to snatch the City Creation Token from Lorne? I'm afraid that tens of thousands of you will not be enough for Aisha to kill. Chapter 197, Vast Ocean Ring. Boom. As Lorne was checking the event information, a loud rumble came from the forging room. The intense trembling felt like an earthquake. Lorne immediately recovered and frowned. Did my equipment explode? It felt possible. It was obvious that this guy with big eyes and a thick neck was not reliable. However, there was no need to worry. That guy was the leader of the Blacksmith Guild. If his equipment exploded, he could just choose another platinum equipment from his guild to supplement himself. After all, as an adventurer, players were the disadvantaged party. As he thought this, bars suddenly ran out of the forge. Not good. His clothes had exploded into pieces, and even his hair had become a real mushroom head that was still smoking black. Just as Lorne thought he was about to hear the bad news, Bars suddenly laughed. Mr. Tyrant, you're really lucky. In the forging just now, I had been repeatedly tempering, but I realized that it was always difficult to merge all the equipment together, so I forged several times. The last time, my forging hammer had just struck this ring when there was a violent explosion. I thought that the equipment was going to be destroyed, but who knew that the explosion just now actually made this ring even more perfect. Ha ha ha, this is really great. In all my years of forging equipment, this is the first time I've encountered such a situation. It's really too interesting. As he laughed, he opened his palm. There was a ring emitting blue light inside. Just by looking at the light outside, one could clearly sense that this equipment was definitely not simple. Lorne took the ring and checked its attributes. Vast Ocean Ring. Grade, Diamond. Magic Attack, plus 1000. Magic Resistance, plus 500. Special Effect, plus 20% Long Distance Attack Range. Special Effect, plus 20% Movement Speed. Special Effect, Vast Ocean, activates the barrier of the vast ocean. Transfer all the damage taken to MP. During this period, physical and magic resistance will increase by 50%. Equipment requirement, level 30. Introduction, a diamond-grade equipment forged by legendary blacksmith Bars. This equipment contains the essence of 7 pieces of the Sage set. It has a high penetrative effect and is extremely lethal to the target. Damn! Lorne was stunned when he saw the attributes of the equipment. One had to know that more than an hour ago, it was only a level 10 silver set. But now, it had become a diamond-grade equipment. Moreover, the attributes of this equipment were too shocking. Just the magic attack on the interface had increased by 1000 points. Just this attribute alone was several times stronger than the attributes of the Sage set. But that was not all. Its second attribute was Magic Resistance plus 500, which provided a powerful defense attribute for Lorne and also allowed his magic resistance to break through the 1000 mark. There were also 3 special effects. The first 2 were attack range and movement speed, which were also the attributes that Lorne needed the most. The last was an active skill. This active skill could raise Lorne's resistances and transfer damage taken to MP. Wasn't this equivalent to having 2 HP bars? This was an unexpected surprise, one that exceeded Lorne's expectations. Without saying anything, he quickly threw away the low-level ring and put on this powerful vast ocean ring. Hey! Lorne checked the equipment ranking and found that the diamond grade ring was only 4th. This did not seem right. In Lorne's eyes, the attributes of this equipment should be stronger than the Ghost Shadow necklace. After all, this equipment increased attributes by 1,500 points, but the Shadow necklace did not increase any attributes at all. This necklace. As Lorne studied his necklace, Bar's gaze shifted over. Mr. Tyrant, this necklace is a little unusual. Unusual? Lorne frowned. Was this a hidden divine artifact? If I'm not mistaken, this might be a damaged mythical grade necklace. Pfft! Lorne almost spat in his face. This guy was not joking, right? Although he had not played the game for long, he knew very well what a mythical equipment was. In a game, mythical equipment was the highest level equipment and was considered extremely rare. Now, you're telling me that this is a divine artifact? No way, was this guy toying with him? Lorne looked at him in disbelief. To be honest, to be able to encounter a mythical equipment and a demigod equipment at this point of the game was already very heaven-defying. If he said that this was another mythical equipment, Lorne would really find it hard to accept. After all, they were not like cabbages in the market, found everywhere. Mr. Tyrant, please do not doubt my judgment. In the name of the Blacksmith Guild leader, I guarantee that this ring is definitely the remains of a certain divine equipment. Bars said seriously. Since you're so sure, let me see if you can repair it. Bars touched his head awkwardly and said, my ability is limited. Repairing mythical equipment is already beyond my strength. Moreover, repairing a divine equipment requires special forging equipment. The forging equipment I have is far from reaching the requirements. To put it bluntly, he was weak. If it was an existence like the Dragon of Light, it would probably recover with just a stare. Lorne sighed and asked, other than the Dragon God, who can repair this equipment? The Dragon God does not use a forging method, but the pure power of faith to restore the lost part. Other than the Dragon God, no one in the world can do this. If there's anyone who can repair a divine equipment, it must be the gnomes closest to us. The gnomes have a specialized forging divine equipment that has a high chance of repairing a damaged one. Of course, if you want to use this divine equipment, you will definitely have to pay a high price. According to the rumors I've heard, this price is about 1 billion gold coins. Bars said slowly. After hearing this, Lorne directly left the Blacksmith Guild. 1 billion? They might as well rob him. 1 gold coin could probably be sold for 300 alliance dollars. 1 billion gold coins was 10 trillion alliance dollars. Even if he had a mountain of gold at home, it would not be enough to squander like this. Of course, in a few months, the gold coins would not be worth so much money. At that time, there should still be hope for 1 billion gold coins. In addition, rare materials could also be traded to the gnomes, but now that Lorne needed money, he did not have such an idea. He could not be bothered to think too much. It was more important to rush to the event location now. This city creation token could not be snatched away by anyone. Chapter 198, Demonized Beastmen. After leaving the Blacksmith Guild, Lorne stood in the square of Iron Skull City. It could be seen that there were very few people in Iron Skull City now. Most of the players had already left Iron Skull City and headed to the event area. Because there was no level restriction in this event, many players wanted to try it. Especially because there were a large number of gems and equipment in the prizes of this event, which were what the players wanted the most now. Nothing could stop them. Lorne did not idle. He immediately opened the map and calculated the route. The location of this event was not in the direction of the ruins of the war but in the west. Unfortunately, it was far from the Gnome Mineral Company, so he could not teleport there. He could only run now. From the map, the Titan Forest should be about a day's journey away from Iron Skull City. He had to set off from the western city gate and move along the Moonlight Lawn. He could reach it after walking on the plain for a day. The monsters on the way were not powerful. Most of them were level 20 to 40 monsters, not as terrifying as in the direction of the ruins of the war. Seeing this, there was no need for Lorne to hesitate. He planned to travel at full speed, trying to reach his destination within 6 hours. This was a harsh plan, but it was not difficult for him, who had high movement speed. As he prepared to leave, suddenly, a message popped up. "Little brother Tyrant, where are you now?" This was news from Twinkle Rose. "What, you want to pay with your body so soon?" The corners of Lorne's mouth curled up into a meaningful smile. "Tisk, shameless. How can an elder sister compensate a younger brother with her own body?" "Twinkle Rose, let me tell you something serious. The sisters of our Silver Snow Guild are almost at the event location. Little brother, do you want me to tell you the route?" "So soon?" Lorne was stunned. According to the distance he calculated from the map, it would take at least a day to reach the activity area. But the event had just begun not long ago, and the Silver Snow Guild members were already nearby. That was fast. On the other side, Twinkle Rose was extremely happy. She had been bullied by Tyrant for too long. Now that she had finally found an opportunity, she had to satisfy herself. "Hurry up and say it, or else you won't get the share of the potion sales anymore." How could Lorne let her subdue him? Impossible. Previously, he had given Twinkle Rose and Super Rich 300,000 antidotes each. After selling them, they would earn 120,000 per day. To Twinkle Rose, this was equivalent to someone giving her a limited edition bag every day. She did not want to let go of such a good thing. Therefore, the beauty directly withered and said, "At this coordinate in the main city, find Knight Leader Orin and tell him that you want to go to the abandoned sentry post in the Dark Marsh. He will give you a chance to teleport to the Dark Marsh." Hearing this, Lorne cursed. No wonder the Silver Snow Guild had arrived so early. They had made use of the Dark Marsh. It was a small map, near the event area. From there, they could reach the nearest activity area in half an hour. Big busted sister, not bad. You can even find such a place. Lorne gave her 3 thumbs up. This was encountered by a young lady from my guild when she was doing a chain mission. It just so happened that the event area was nearby, which saved us a day of traveling. Twinkle Rose said, "I'll only tell this secret to you for the time being. Don't tell others too early. Let the sisters of the Silver Snow Guild farm for a few hours first. Otherwise, we won't be able to compete with them. Don't worry, big busted sister. In addition, I'll give you an additional hour the next time we meet." "I don't believe you. Men like to brag." Twinkle Rose, walking through the forest, giggled at Lorne's words. Then, happily, she closed the chat and focused on the monster before her. Iron Skull City. Lorne followed the method of Twinkle Rose and found Knight Leader Orin, informing him of his intention to go to the Dark Marsh. "There's a group of detestable marsh crocodiles in the Dark Marsh. Bring back 10 crocodile skins. I'll give you a generous reward." Knight Leader Orin gave Lorne a mission. This mission was extremely low level. It did not matter what the reward was. What was important was that with this mission, he would obtain the opportunity to teleport to the Dark Marsh. With the mission in hand, Lorne stepped into the teleportation circle. He confirmed the location. Teleport. With a flash of light, when Lorne regained his vision, he found himself in a dark swamp. Standing there was an abandoned sentry post. How close? Lorne looked at the map and found that it was less than an hour's journey. At his speed, it would only take 10 minutes. Soon, he arrived at the target area. In order to avoid running into the members of the Twinkle Rose, Lorne made a detour to the side. Before long, he discovered a target. Demonized Beastmen. Grade, Bronze Monster. Level, 28. Attributes. A level 28 bronze monster was terrifyingly weak. However, monsters with this level and quality were really troublesome for ordinary players. Especially these orcs, who had a high attack power of 1,500 points. Coupled with their explosive damage, apart from the knight players, not many people could withstand it. According to the current combat strength of the players, they could still farm monsters here as a team. However, their income would be very low. After all, their points gained would not include a team bonus. Get out and go to work, little ones. Lorne waved his short staff, and several magic circles glowed. Then, 6 different pets stood in the open space ahead. Small artillery drew its bow and fired several arrows at the monster in front. In less than a second, the monster died. There was really nothing to say about this. The combat strength of the two was on a completely different level. Ding! Congratulations on killing the demonized beastman. Points plus 84. When the monster was killed, Lorne did not obtain experience but 84 points, as if these points were related to the monster's level and quality. However, the specific numbers could only be known after killing a few more monsters. Chapter 199, Bold Idea. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the material, Fang of a Demonized Beastman. Congratulations on obtaining the material, Bone of a Demonized Beastman. Congratulations on obtaining the material, Muscle of a Demonized Beastman. Congratulations on obtaining the material, Skin of a Demonized Beastman. When cleaning up the battlefield, Lorne did not obtain any loot. All he obtained were synthesis materials grabbed by the monster merging simulator. This was uncomfortable. Lorne had not expected this game system to be so immoral. In an event mission, all the monsters did not give experience. If that was all, it was easier to accept. After all, points could be exchanged for rewards. But why was there no loot from killing the monsters? Wasn't this too much? This was equivalent to the players giving up the loot of bronze coins, equipment, and experience points for some event points. To be honest, this was a little ridiculous. Especially Lorne, he was definitely the most uncomfortable player. Because he had the highest luck points, the probability of him farming monsters and dropping equipment was very high, so he was the one who lost the most. Of course, it was too early to say that. Before knowing the cost of the points exchange, no one could say if using 3 types of loot to exchange for these points was worth it. If 1 point could exchange for 10 experience points, then it would be incredible. Forget it. I'll accumulate the points first. Lorne did not dwell on these matters. He directly let his pets walk to different forests and explore them separately, so that the efficiency of killing monsters would be greatly increased. This way, it was equivalent to 7 people fighting at the same time. The efficiency was astonishing. Boom! 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 Lorne waved the short staff in his hand, and white magic waves immediately struck the monster with sparkling tail flames. To be honest, this was definitely one of the few times that Lorne had fought on his own since entering the game. Usually, it was the pets who fought. But today, for the sake of the city creation token, Lorne made a move himself. He began to kill monsters with his pets. -1365. -1421. -1359. -1403. Damage numbers popped up on the monster's head. Lorne was already level 30 and was even stronger than these demonized beastmen, not to mention his attributes. Other than having less health than the other party, he was superior in other aspects. This was especially the case for his attack power. Due to the vast ocean ring, his magic attack had already exceeded 2,000 points. If not for the damage reduction effect on the demonized beastmen, these basic attacks would have been even more terrifying. Pfft. In less than 4 seconds, the demonized beastman could not reach Lorne easily, but its health was emptied and it fell to the ground with a look of indignation. It contributed 87 points to Lorne. As for the battle results of the pets, they had already been killed crazily. Ding! Congratulations on killing the demonized beastman. Points plus 84. Congratulations on killing the demonized beastman. Points plus 87. Congratulations on killing the demonized beastman. Points plus 87. A combat notification quickly popped up on Lorne's combat panel. He received points every second. After observing for a while, Lorne understood the method of calculating these points. In this event, the points produced by the monsters were directly related to their level and quality. For example, the level 28 bronze grade demonized beastman. Its points were 28 x 3 equals 84, grade X quality. Because bronze was the third in terms of quality, such monsters were directly x3 in points. If it was a silver monster, then it would be x4, and so on. About 10 minutes later, Lorne suddenly stopped in front of a group of elks. If I can turn these ordinary monsters into demonized monsters, Lorne stood there thoughtfully. Not long after entering the Titan forest, he discovered a problem. The distribution of demonized beastmen was very sparse. He and his pets searched for more than 10 minutes, but they did not see another demonized beastman group. Even if he let the long-tongued bat search the sky, he did not find any signs of a group activity. This might be because the system had scattered to prevent ordinary players from being wiped out by the monsters. But this was a huge obstacle for the powerful Lorne. To him, the gathering of these monsters was a good opportunity to farm points. Therefore, Lorne could not help but stare at the elks. He felt like he had missed something, but he could not recall. Half a minute later, his eyes suddenly widened. How could I have forgotten about the monster merging simulator? Lorne was pleasantly surprised. He had thought of a way to quickly earn a large number of points. This method was merge monster. If the demonized beastman gradually became demonized because of the corrosion of the dark power, could he also create a batch of demonized monsters? Others might not be able to do it, but Lorne had a monster merging simulator. As long as he combined the materials obtained from the demonized beastman with the ordinary monsters in the forest, he would definitely be able to obtain a new demonized monster. Perhaps this demonized monster was not a demonized beastman, but the mission panel did not specify that one had to kill the demonized beastman to obtain points. In terms of mission requirement, one could obtain points by killing the demonized monster. Damn, that seems possible. Lorne's eyes lit up. His idea could not be less bold. If this idea could be realized, then he could wantonly merge demonized monsters, and his points would definitely increase crazily. In addition, this method could avoid the lack of demonized monsters. In the Titan forest, there were indeed many demonized beastmen. However, no matter how many monsters there were, it was not enough for tens of millions of players to share. Once other players arrived at this place, there would definitely be a phenomenon of them snatching monsters. Lorne, who could create demonized monsters, could completely avoid the fundamental problem of having limited resources. Very good. It's time to witness a miracle. Lorne took a deep breath and calmed down. Then, he let small artillery reduce the health of an elk to less than 5%. Then, using his talent, Lorne placed the dying monster into the synthesis formula. Chapter 200, Lorne's Cheat Method. Ding! Monster elk has been confirmed as the prototype. Please choose a body part material. Muscle of a demonized beastman. Lorne threw a piece of black flesh into the synthesis formula. Ding! A monster prototype and material have been identified. The synthesis formula is elk plus muscle of a demonized beastman plus. The cost of this synthesis is 50 silver coins. Would you like to merge? The system notification sounded. The cost of this synthesis was 50 silver coins, which was very likely to be a bronze-grade monster. However, that was not the main point. The main point was whether this synthesized monster would be counted among the demonized monsters. This was what Lorne was most concerned about. Merge. Without thinking, Lorne confirmed the choice. The next moment, a huge magic circle blossomed. The muscles of the demonized beastman turned into black light that wrapped around the elk and finally distorted it until it became a new creature. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining a bronze-grade monster, Demonized Deerman. When the light completely dissipated, what appeared in front of Lorne was a beastman in black deer skin. It walked half upright, its eyes glowing scarlet, looking very terrifying. Lorne smiled when he saw it. Cackle! Cackle! He laughed like a mad witch. This was because the monster that appeared in front of him was a new demonized monster. The Deerman was also a type of beastman. Other than its stronger attributes, it had a very similar appearance to other demonized beastmen. Lorne eagerly opened the monster's attributes panel. Demonized Deerman, contract possible. Grade, bronze monster. Level, 1. Attributes. Superiority, 65%. Introduction. Because it had just been created, this monster was level 1, but as long as it was released, its level would immediately rise to the level of the original monster. As for its attributes, there was no need to care. To Aisha, no matter what kind of monster it was, it could not escape the pursuit of the pair of daggers. Then, let's see the effect after killing it. My little dear, you must give me points. With a few deep breaths, Lorne released the creature. In the next second, the monster's level instantly increased to level 25. Due to its 65% superiority and bronze-grade quality, it had already become a small boss. Perhaps because of its increase in strength, it grew arrogant and dared to screech at Lorne. Such a rude monster would not have a good ending. Lorne let Aisha do it. When attacking, Lorne buffed Aisha with his support skills. He wanted to see how powerful Aisha was now. Cooperative Strike. This skill could add Lorne's magic attack to Aisha, making her next attack even more explosive. Aisha did not stop. She directly used backstab and instantly moved behind the monster, then stabbed down with the shimmering dagger in her hand. Pfft! This slash tore through everything, ruthlessly tearing through the monster's body and dealing huge damage. Minus 70,000. Critical. The terrifying number floated in the air, and Lorne was stunned. When he was at the Lake of Death, he had seen the battle between the one-eyed giant snake and the two-headed crocodile dragon. The minimum damage between the two sides was only about 80,000 points. Originally, Lorne had felt that the battle had been very shocking, but now that Aisha's damage output had reached the limit, he immediately felt that he could do it too. Of course, Lorne knew that the two bosses had high resistances. It was very difficult to deal hundreds of thousands of damage. Unlike the monster in front of him, its defense was basically zero against Aisha's sharp blades. Ding! Congratulations to your pet Aisha for killing the demonized Deerman. Points plus 150. When the monster fell, Lorne immediately obtained 150 points. This income stunned him. One had to know that an ordinary level 28 demonized monster only provided 84 points. It could not be compared to this synthesized monster. I'm rich, I'm rich. I'm really rich now. Lorne rubbed his hands in surprise, then ran forward and obtained a few synthesis materials from the creature. Demonized Deerman's horn. Demonized Deerman's flesh. Demonized Deerman's bone. Demonized Deerman's hoof. Killing the creature gave Lorne 8 synthesis materials. Unfortunately, such materials had no quality classification. He could not directly see the quality of this material. Since it was dropped from a bronze grade monster, it should be bronze grade. Lorne touched his chin. In his mind, there was an even greedier idea: if I fuse this with another bronze grade monster, can I obtain a silver grade monster? Under the effect of Monster Merging Simulator, if monsters were to merge with high-level materials, he would definitely obtain higher-grade monsters. Under normal circumstances, higher-level monsters would drop higher-level materials. In that case, could he not repeat the cycle endlessly, making the monster's own value higher each time? Thinking of this, Lorne's eyes lit up. He immediately turned his head and focused his gaze on a demonized beastman not far away. It was time to witness a miracle. If he could develop according to his thoughts, it would not be as simple as getting rich. If he did it well, he might be able to earn the money to afford dozens of goblin robots. Swish! 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 Small artillery aimed at the demonized beastman not far away. It drew its bow and fired arrows in the air, hitting the monster accurately. With a series of damage, the demonized beastman did not have time to counterattack before its health dropped to less than 5%. Lorne immediately stepped forward and threw the creature into the synthesis, then threw in the flesh of the demonized deerman he had just obtained. Ding! A monster prototype and material have been identified. The synthesis formula is demonized beastman plus demonized deerman's muscle plus. The cost of this synthesis is 1 gold coin. Would you like to merge? There was hope. The cost of synthesis had increased, which meant that the monster created this time would be stronger. Lorne quickly confirmed, merge. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge magic circle appeared in front of him, and the monster standing in the magic circle immediately turned into a ball of light that intertwined with the black light that the ball of flesh had turned into. A few seconds later, a pleasant system sounded. Ding! Merging successful. Congratulations on obtaining